Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. So can you explain a little bit about what exactly is spirituality? Like, how do you define spirituality? What is it?
So that's a difficult question. However, I'll try to simplify as
Yeah.
much as I can. So when it comes to Hinduism, Buddhism, and Islam, I think it has a kind of a meaning, but when it comes to Buddhism, it might have a different meaning. In the context of Islam, Christianity, and Hinduism, I would say spirituality is having a connection with God,
Yeah.
right? Because God is a central concept in all those religions. And whereas in Buddhism, it has a complete different meaning. I would say having a connection with God is definitely one way to have spirituality. And spirituality is one of the five main aspects that Stephen Covey talks about in his book, The Seven Habits. And he says, you have the professional, you have the social, you have the financial, but you have the physical, you also have the spiritual. And it's just that push that makes people do a little bit better in life, act the right way, do the right thing,
Yeah.
as they say. So that kind of push to do the right thing and to act in a better way than you would have acted otherwise, that is spirituality. And you do that through the connection with God, right? That's how it is kind of preached in Islam, Christianity, at least. By having a close relationship with God, then you will kind of be motivated to act as a better person or as a good person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so there are two questions that I have. First one is when it comes to doing the right thing or pushing people to doing the right thing. I guess this is a part of the answer, but my question is, why is spirituality important? Like, apart from doing the right thing, in terms of personal understanding,
Yeah.
in terms of personal awareness, why is spirituality important?
I feel that people in general need a sort of connection in their life to a higher power or a divine power. You can call it God,
Yeah.
if you want. It's necessary uh, because in the other because the alternative. So I actually took me a long time to figure this out, and I kind of took it for granted for a long time. However, I saw its value, or I saw the value of having a connection with God when I got into Buddhism, because Buddhism is an atheistic religion in a sense, or atheistic spirituality, which does not believe in God. So when I got into that kind of aspect of not having a God to pray to or not having God to connect with, I saw that even Buddhists themselves found other alternatives. And I'll tell you a little story
Yeah.
about this. While I was studying Buddhism, I traveled to multiple Buddhist countries, specifically Thailand and Nepal. And in these two countries, they have two different traditions of Buddhism. One is called Theravada in Thailand and Mahayana in Nepal. However, if you go to Thailand and you see what people are doing in their day-to-day lives, you'll see taxi drivers. Okay, you will see taxi drivers having a small statue of Ganesh in their car. And for those who don't know, Ganesh is a Hindu god, or a concept of god in Hinduism, who has an elephant head and a chubby body, and he rides a mouse. So it's a pretty interesting concept to see Ganesh kind of worshipped in Thailand. And you would go to the stores, you would see pictures of Ganesh, you would see posters of Ganesh, people on their phone covers, you would see on the other side a picture of Ganesh. And I was very intrigued about this idea because 96% of Thai people are Buddhist. And Ganesh is more into a Hindu god.
Yeah.
So I had the curiosity, like after a while I had the curiosity to ask, like, why are you worshipping Ganesh? You have the Buddha himself, you have his teachings, you have his dharma, and they said, I asked a man this question. He said, yes, I know that we have the dharma, I know that we have the Buddha's teachings, we respect the Buddha, we love him. However, the Buddha was a man who died 2,600 years ago, and he will not answer my prayers if I call him. So this is why I need someone to pray to, I need someone to connect with. And this is why I have to pray to Ganesh, because he is the god of success or god of remover of obstacles. So
Just out of curiosity, is there a particular reason why there were more instances of Ganesh being worshipped,
I think that's more of a
or is it
cultural
a
thing.
general Hinduism thing? Like,
No,
okay,
specifically Ganesh, because
okay,
you don't see any other gods like Krishna or Shiva or Vishnu. You mostly see Ganesh, and I feel like it's a cultural thing.
the obstacle removal.
Obstacle remover, bringer of success. Um,
Interesting,
yeah,
interesting. That actually takes me to the second question which I had, which was, um, is spirituality and the connection with God and hope, is all of this needed for a bad day only, or do you also need it for a good day and maybe a normal day? Because generally what I've seen is people need hope and salvation and connection with that God and prayer typically when they're in a pinch.
absolutely.
um, where do you need that connection or that hope on a good day, or maybe on a normal day? Where do these things come into play on such?
So in the Christian doctrine, it talks about having a relationship with God or Jesus.
Yeah,
And the relationship is not only on the bad days. A relationship is something you have on the good days and the bad days, just like when two people are married and or two people are in a relationship, they are there for each other in both times. So this relationship that you kind of build with God is something that you nurture every day or every hour. And so in Islam, you nurture it 5 times a day through
yeah,
through
yeah,
through
yeah.
prayer, right? So you have to kind of nurture that relationship. However, the concept of a relationship is more specific to Christianity. In Islam, it is, you can say it is a relationship in a way. However, it's a more structured relationship. It's a
Yeah,
more defined relationship. You pray in a certain way. You speak to God in a certain way. You do have the freedom, but not as much freedom as Christianity, where you can just, it's a loving personal relationship you have with God. And um, when you think about speaking to God in the sense of you're speaking to someone you love or someone you have a relationship with, this is how it applies to the good times and the bad times, of course. And of course, in Islamic Christianity, there's always mentioned the idea that people only speak to God or people only pray to God when bad things happen to them,
yeah.
which is expected, and kind of God already knows that. However, the trick is, or the idea is, to have a relationship that is deeper than that is in the good times and the bad times.